What's going on, social media world? Otis here, back from my garage to you. Yes, I'm back in my little corner in the garage. The garage is clean now. I'm not by the totes anymore. You can see a little Bitcoin flag. I want to put something here, but I just need you guys to let me know. Send me links. Don't send me any links. I'm not clicking on links. But give me ideas to put right here in the comments, and I'll put something cool right here, Bitcoin related, or just anything cool. Let me adjust this real quick because the point of this video, I want you to adjust your mindset. The question I had, let's go closer. Let's get close. Let's have a conversation. The question I have for you is, what news do you need to hear for you to go all into Bitcoin? For you to say, I'm putting all my chips in on Bitcoin. What news do you need to hear? I'm looking into the camera right here, but typically look right here. Do you need to hear that the US is holding Bitcoin? Because it's happened already. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is done. Do you need to hear that the US is buying Bitcoin? Well, it's in the process, right? The news has already happened. As long as it doesn't cost taxpayers money, we're buying Bitcoin. Do you need to hear that countries are buying Bitcoin? Yes. As I just said before, the US, China, the UAE, United Kingdom, Finland, El Salvador, Bhutan, like the countries are doing it. Do you need to hear that banks are doing it? Multiple banks. But you have to just take the time and say, well, what about my bank? What about a big bank like Chase or Wells Fargo? Or they're secretly buying Bitcoin through ETFs, and they might be holding it over the counter. But the point I want to say is, by the time you hear that news, it will be too late. By the time you hear the news you think you need to hear, it's too late. The time has passed. And that's what people fail to realize, is that if you're looking for that news, if you're saying, well, whenever my bank starts to, then I'm going to buy into Bitcoin, you would have lost so much profit, because you're going to be buying at $500,000. You're going to be buying at $250,000 per Bitcoin. And you have to get over this hump. You have to get over this hump of this idea that, like, you need to hear something for you to go into Bitcoin. You need to go study. You need to go take the time to go study Bitcoin. The last thing I want to say is this. Okay, you say, okay, well, I want to get into Bitcoin and I'm buying into Bitcoin. When the price goes up, it's about that conviction. Well, it doesn't matter how much conviction you have. It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you have. If you have bad financial, if you have a bad financial relationship, then you're gonna sell by the time it hits 100 again. You're gonna sell once it hits these small plateaus of numbers. Delayed gratification in the Bitcoin space is what you need. Delayed gratification, saying that I know for a fact that Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million at some point. And $1 million is life-changing for some people, for most people, for a lot, I didn't say some, for a lot of people, $1 million is a lot. Not in fiat, but $1 million in Bitcoin will be life-changing, because I truly don't think that $1 million is even close to where I truly feel, and it's kind of scary to think about the price of Bitcoin in the next 10 years, when 99% of the supply is gone, as in already mined, out in the market. There's no other way to recreate it or copy. 99% in the next 10 years will be out to the public market. In the next 100 years after that, it's going to take to mine the rest of that Bitcoin. The next 100 years after 2035. If you're in your 30s, can you wait 10 years for delayed gratification? That's a long time. If you're in your 50s, can you wait 10 years? Yeah, you can wait 10. You can be in your 60s. To not sell any, I don't think so. I don't think anyone should not sell any. I'm saying not to sell in the short term, but when it jumps to 100, 100,000, 120, these are the most minuscule numbers. Because if you hear countries are buying it, banks are buying it, there will be a supply shock. There will be a moment where you cannot get it anywhere. And for someone to want to sell it, they will want to sell it at an absurd price. But once again, why would you sell your Bitcoin for money that can be printed off? So it's really hard. It's really hard for me to conceptualize that you would want to sell your money, your Bitcoin, your hard asset for something that can be printed and duplicated, but you also need to live life. So it's a weird barrier and a tough time I'm having with people who are older to say don't sell any. Because if you don't sell any, then you won't get a chance to experience life or do certain things in life. And what's the whole purpose of never selling, right? So that whole concept of never selling is tough for me. But also, if you wait just a little while longer, then you can exchange that Bitcoin for certain things. And the amount of Bitcoin you are exchanging, that part makes sense to me. Because if I'm selling one Satoshi for this thing, that makes sense to me. But if I'm selling X amount of Bitcoin, like let's say if I'm selling one whole Bitcoin for a house, when I know in a year's time I can buy that same house for half a Bitcoin, that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me about selling selling Bitcoin. But besides the point, going back to the original topic, what do you need to hear for you to go all in? Because once you hear that news and try to buy in, whatever exchange you're gonna have is gonna be like, okay, well, we're shut down. Like that time period for your money to clear and get back to your wallet, like it might be some time where the price is gonna shoot up another 100K. And that's where I'm confused by if people know these things about Bitcoin, if people are hearing this in the news. And a lot of this news isn't coming out. But if you hear about these things and you are saying to yourself, I'm going to put some money into it, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until the price drops. I'm going to wait until you're going to be too late. You're going to try to wait and try to buy the bottom. You will be too late. For the people who bought it at 100 and then sold at 90 or sold at 80, shame on you. You only lost money because you sold. But anyway, before I start rambling, because y'all, to close this video out, Bitcoin, the space in itself, the things that are happening is happening every single day. News, the countries and companies, and the bullish news that's happening in the space is coming out every single day. And if you focus on the price and you do not have conviction and you decide to sell because you don't feel like it's your feelings will wreck you. Your feelings will wreck you. And the day you sell out because you think Bitcoin is done is the same day it's gonna shoot up to 100K, to 150, to $250,000, to $500,000, to $1 million. The day you say, you know what, I'm done with Bitcoin, is the day you lose. But until the next video, peace.